conservation programs with Ducks Unlimited in Ridgeland, Mississippi, and I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk to you about the wetland permit process in the Memphis area. Let me start slideshow here. So working through the wetland permitting process in Memphis, really there's two entities that you have to work with: the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers with the 404 permit, and the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation with their ARAP permit. Those are the two primary things that most folks will bump up against. So when you work with the Corps of Engineers with the 404 permits, generally they're going to go down in one of three ways. Your project will either qualify for one of their general permits, which is a streamlined process that allows them to relatively quickly issue a permit for your project, defines the eligibility of the project, whether it is eligible or not. Process of notifying, simply may just have to notify them that you did the project or that you're going to do the project, or have to submit some information to get permission to proceed with the project. Same with nationwide permits. Those are nationwide instead of specific to the Memphis district like the general permits. But the nationwide permits, similarly, some of them you can proceed with the project. You just have to provide notification before or after, or submit paperwork and get permission to proceed with the project underneath a nationwide permit. And then finally, if your project doesn't qualify for either of those, you would have to proceed with an individual permit process, which requires public notice and going through a pretty laborious public notice process, responding to the public comments, and then making sure that everything's addressed, and then they make their decision to permit or move forward. So when you apply for a permit through either U.S. Army Corps of Engineers or Tennessee with their ARAP permit, both of those permitting processes require that you follow the mitigation sequence, which when you have your project, you look through and you first try and avoid impacts. Second, you try to minimize those impacts. And third, after you've avoided and minimized the most you can, or as most that's economically feasible or feasible on your project, then you provide compensatory mitigation for the remaining impacts. And so what's compensatory mitigation? That's basically where you're trying to replace the functions of the wetlands or waters that you're impacting with your project. And it's a pretty laborious process. The requirement of a plan that you would have to submit to the Corps of Engineers to undertake a compensatory mitigation project includes things like the objectives of the project, how you picked your site, how you're going to protect the site, on and on and on and on. Quite a laborious process. You have to hire a consultant to do this most of the time, and can be quite involved and quite costly and time consuming. So there's, like I said, there's two ways to provide, or I hadn't mentioned before, but there are two ways to provide compensatory mitigation. You can do it yourself, basically hire a consultant, maintain responsibility for the entire process, or you can purchase mitigation credits. And one way that you can meet the requirements for impacts to wetlands in the Memphis area is through purchasing mitigation credits from the Mount Tina Creek Mitigation Bank, which is sponsored by Ducks Unlimited. So the Mount Tina Creek Mitigation Bank is located in Fayette County along the Wolf River, adjacent to the Wolf River Wildlife Management Area, Ghost River State Natural Area. It's a fantastic site. It's going to provide is providing a tremendous opportunity to restore some high quality wetlands in the floodplain of the Wolf River, and that's going to provide a lot of wildlife habitat. It's going to contribute to improved water quality in the Wolf River watershed, and help the underlying Memphis sands through recharge of the underlying aquifer. So if your project is taking place inside that hatched area of the Wolf River watershed, which encompasses much of the growth area of the Metro Memphis as you move out through to the west and the north side of Memphis, your project could likely utilize the credits from the Wolf River, from the Mount Tena Creek Mitigation Bank to satisfy your mitigation requirements. And simply the process at that point, your mitigation plan is, we're going to buy credits instead of those 13, 14 items that I mentioned before. And it's simply a matter of the regulatory staff saying, yep, it's eligible to utilize those credits. We enter a contract to purchase those credits. You make the purchase. I send a notice to the Corps that you've purchased the credits, and you move forward. And your permit's issued, and you move forward with your project. Studies on average across the country that projects, people that are getting permits through the Corps of Engineers that utilize Mitigation Bank for their credits permit on average of about twice as fast as permits where they utilize permitted responsible mitigation. So Mount Tena Creek Mitigation Bank was approved in 2014. Credits are available for purchase right now for a project that you have ongoing through the permit process. Can also secure credits now for future projects if you want to ensure that they're available and that you can get that quick regulatory approval that we talked about and minimize the cost and lost time that you would experience in going through the permitting process if you have to do a permitted responsible project. But those credits are limited. We've got a limited number of them available right now. And so if you are interested in that, you need to reach out and contact me. Again, my name is Eric Held. I am, like I mentioned, the manager of conservation programs for Ducks Unlimited. I'm located in Ridgeland, Mississippi, but in the Memphis area quite often. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and contact me. Again, my number is 601-260-7556, or you can reach me by email at eheld@ducks.org. Thank you.